Good morning and welcome to The Extra on KRDO News Radio, the show that connects you with the topics and issues and people that are important to you. Important person here today, Chad Spencer from Hammond Law Group. Chad, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too, Renae.
It's been like, what, a year-ish?
A little, right around there, yeah.
About a year-ish?
Something like that.
You staying busy?
We are staying very busy.
Yeah, I bet. And we're heading into the holiday season, and I know, Chad, and we were kind of talking about this, being prepared, especially when you have kids, right?
Correct.
And a lot of times you don't think about it, and it's like, okay, do we have our ducks in a row?
Do we have everything in order, correct?
Do we have anything in order? And of course, you being a parent, I bet you work with a lot of parents too.
We're trying to reach more parents because it is very important. A lot of people think you need to be old in order to put your estate plan together. And when we ask people, why are you here? Why did you come in and talk to us? Oh, we're getting to be that age. But what if you have small children and something happens to you and your spouse,
right,
or the parents of those kids? What are they going to do?
Well, and I think, like you said, that's the one thing people don't think about. Like, anything can happen at any time.
Anything can happen. It might snow today.
Right. You know, although I was waiting for snow at my house yesterday, Chad, it didn't happen. Did you get snow at your house?
We did not get snow yet.
Yeah.
The kids are excited about it.
I know. I was like, it's snowing up north.
Right.
Didn't get any. And heading into the holidays, Chad, is actually, I know people might think about it like the last thing I want to think about right now is estate planning and being prepared, but actually it makes sense to me.
Well, right now is when the families can get together and talk about it. Everybody's going to be together for the holidays, for Thanksgiving especially, and talking about what they're thankful for. And so it's important to have those conversations. It's not going to, just because you talk about it doesn't mean you're going to die.
Right.
A lot of people are afraid of that. They say, oh, if we plan for this, then something's going to happen to us.
Right.
But that's not the case. We just want people to be prepared, have those conversations. We talk about it all the time. And the more you talk about it, the easier it gets.
And also, and I love this note that you made, it's actually a really good gift.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people may not think about that, but it's actually a really great gift to your family.
Absolutely. The gift of peace of mind, of preparedness. We want to make things as easy as possible for people at the most difficult times in their lives. It's a lot easier to do that by planning ahead and solving problems before they happen.
Yeah. And again, here you go. We're all planned out. We're all set, ready to go. Nothing to worry. I mean, that, like you said, the peace of mind of it. And apparently, and I bet this happens too, along with tax season, I bet a lot of estate planning happens as well, does it?
In the spring?
And in the new year and stuff
Absolutely.
like that?
It happens at the first of the year, but why wait until those resolutions come about? Because once people start planning for the resolutions, other things take precedent. They want to exercise. They want to get their health in order. But why not get your planning done ahead of time? Give it as a gift, like you said.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, as planning, and of course, we're focusing on, especially if you're a parent, which most people are parents, and even if you have young kids, you may be, late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, thinking, oh, I don't need, that's not true. Right.
It can be especially critical for parents of young children. I don't want to say young families because I'm older and I have young kids, so we'll just say parents of young children.
Yeah.
But why would it be important for parents of young children to get their estate planning together? Mainly because what's going to happen? Who's going to be the guardian for those kids? Who's going to manage the money? Do we want to give it to the kids as soon as they turn 21 or 18? If something happens to us when they're minors, I don't know if I had money when I was, became a millionaire through an insurance policy when I was 21. That money would be gone now. Oh,
it would be probably bye-bye. And for most people, right? Right. So those are just some of the top things that you have to think about when you are thinking about planning, especially when you have young children. So should we go ahead and start breaking down, Chad, some of the biggest things that you have to think about in preparing and being prepared?
Sure.
So let's start with, should we start with guardianship? Because I'm sure that is like one of the topmost concerns and a top discussion with parents about who's going to take care of the kids in the event that something happens.
Right. Because the number one concern for parents of young children is the young children. What's going to happen with them? And so a lot of people will say, oh, my mother or my parents will be the guardian if something happens to us, or my brother or friend. But what do we do if there's an emergency? If my wife and I get in a car accident and we're taken to the hospital and now there's a babysitter at home with our kids, under Colorado law, a first responder cannot leave their children with somebody that's not an adult blood relative. A lot of people in Colorado are transient. They come here from other places, and so they don't have immediate family close by. And so the first responder would have to take that child into Child Protective Services. And I know that my middle daughter would would have a breakdown if she had to go into the care of a stranger.
Right.
And so how can we set it up, circumvent the law, and put together a legal document that says these are the individuals that have temporary custody of my children in the event that something happens to me and to my wife. And we can name friends, we can name neighbors.
That was going to be my next. So it could be a friend or a neighbor. It does not have to be a blood relative.
Absolutely. We can
as long as that document is there.
As long as the document's there.
Okay.
If it's not there, it's too late.
Oh, wow. And then they do have to go into child protective custody.
Until an adult blood relative can get there to take them into their custody.
And that probably is a long process, too, once they arrive, right?
It's not fun.
It is not. Okay. And then so we covered temporary custody, but what about more permanent things, situations and making sure the kids are taken care of?
When we get into the conversations with people, they don't think about the fact that there could be somebody that they don't want as guardian. So we want to put in a will or some sort of legal document that can go through a guardianship hearing with the court and say, these are the people that I want to be the parents of my children. Obviously, I am the number one choice, but if I'm not available, who will raise my kids as if they are their own and treat them and raise them the way that I would, with the same values and the same considerations that I would want them to be raised as. And sometimes we have people in our lives that when people die, there's money that is usually involved. And so some people come out of the woodwork and say, I should be the parent. I'm the aunt. I'm the grandfather, and that might be the best. That might not be the best situation. So we can even do an exclusion of guardianship in those documents. So really, who's going to raise our kids as if we were there to raise them?
Well, and having those conversations, I'm sure, Chad, also with the people that you are considering and asking if they will be the permanent guardian of your children. I'm sure you guys have recommendations and tips about that too, because that's not always an easy conversation. Hey, by the way.
Hey, by the way, will you raise my kids? I know you already have 3 of your own.
Right. In the event that something happens, which I'm sure it's not easy conversation.
No, but a great conversation to have at the holidays because everybody's in a good mood. The kids are all there, and why not have that conversation? We hope it doesn't happen, and chances are it won't happen, but we want to make sure it's planned for. So why not have it? If you don't talk about it, how are they going to know?
Right. And that's how you guys can help in getting up the temporary guardianship set up and permanent guardianship set up as well. Okay, we do need to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about getting planned, getting all set up, making sure your family is taken care of, especially if you have young kids. We got more with Chad Spencer from Hammond Law Group coming up next on The Extra on KRDO News Radio. Welcome back to The Extra on KRDO News Radio. Joining us from the Hammond Law Group, Chad Spencer is here. Good to see you, Chad.
Good to be here.
Thanks for coming in today.
Absolutely.
Where's your entourage?
Yeah, they're in school.
Usually the entourage from Hammond comes. I'm kidding. But everybody's great over at Hammond Law Group. And today we're talking about being prepared, especially if you have young children. And you know what, Chad, we do talk about this when Catherine is on the show, and people still don't, I think, grasp it. Even if they have a grown child, once that child hits 18 years old, you are no longer entitled to receive information about them if something happens to them. And in the reverse, if something happens to you, your young children go into temporary custody, right, of somebody, that person cannot call and get information about you.
Correct.
So it kind of...
Yeah, the lovely HIPAA law was put in place many years ago, and that just puts a bubble of privacy around everybody that's an adult for all their healthcare information. And so for children, if I have temporary guardianship of someone's child, I may not have the authority to talk to the doctors about their care or make sure that they get the proper care that they need. And then, like you said, when our kids turn 18, we no longer have access to their information.
Right.
And so their doctors cannot release that to us unless we have the proper documentation or a HIPAA release. So for all of our clients, we provide a universal HIPAA release that says these are the individuals that always have access to our private healthcare information regardless of the circumstances. And it's important before your kids go off to college to get that in place for them. Have them sit down, sign it. So again, while you're home for the holidays, sit down with everybody, get those documents together, and have them sign them.
Now, here's a quick question about the HIPAA documents, though, Chad. So say somebody is here, but their child goes off to college or university in another state. Does that document here apply to them there, too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
HIPAA is a federal law, so that document will work ideally anywhere that they go, especially because their home base is going to still be here in Colorado. They're just temporarily in that new location.
And when talking about a temporary guardian for kids in the event that something happens, is it kind of recommended that that person then also be given HIPAA information or get on the HIPAA release, or maybe a different family member? It all depends on the situation, doesn't it?
Right. And for the young kids, we do not only a temporary guardianship, but also make those temporary guardians the power of attorney for healthcare decision making for the kids as well.
Okay.
And so then they have that both documents in place, a separate document that will give them the authority to work with the doctors if something happens to the child.
Now let's move to the money aspect, because we do have lots to cover today. Let's move to the money aspect of it. And like you and I were talking in the break, a lot of the money comes from, say, life insurance. And say something happens, all that money is there. Who does that money go to? How is that money handled? And how is that money used? Has to be predetermined, of course.
Right. And first, let me talk quickly about life insurance. If parents of young children don't have life insurance, go find somebody that can get it.
Yeah.
For you, because even if you're the one that's working, you may want to take some time off. So stay-at-home moms and dads also need life insurance as well to cover the cost in the event that the working parent wants to stay home.
Right.
So step number one, get the insurance, and then what's going to happen with that insurance?
Exactly.
Your kids could potentially, if you're planning properly, become millionaires at your death. So we want to put something in place that says who's going to manage that for them. We don't want to have the courts involved necessarily, because then the kids might get the money right when they turn 21 as the age of majority in Colorado. So, like I said before, do I want to give my son, especially my son,
millions of dollars. Yeah, and be like, oh, look at that.
Right.
Right.
A shiny new car.
Yeah, shiny new car. Look at that. A couple shiny new cars, right? So how is the best way, recommended way to help manage this in the event of, you're passing, especially with the young kids? You can't make sure like, oh, okay, I've designated this person the guardian, or can you? And they get all the money, obviously, for life insurance to make sure the kids are taken care of. But how do you make sure that they don't go out and buy a shiny new car instead of, hey, that's going to go to the college fund and feeding the kids and stuff like that?
Right, because we can't name the kids as the beneficiaries,
right,
because now we're stuck in a situation where they can't actually receive the money. So if we name the guardian, who, again, like I said, is the person we want to raise our kids just like as if we would, do we want to give them the money as well? That's a lot of responsibility to give one person. And are they going to use that money in our children's best interest? Legally, they're not obligated to do so if we name them as the beneficiary.
See, and most people probably didn't know that.
Right. So I used to name my younger brother as the beneficiary on life insurance, and he's going to do what's in their best interest. Does that mean paying off his mortgage so that he can take better care of them, or what does that mean? My kids, the money that I set aside for them is going to be for their education, for their well-being, and things that are important to me and to my wife. And so we can set up a trust, whether through a will or a trust that you set up ahead of time. Right. And so if it flows through the trust, then we can say, okay, this is what the money can be used for. There's a separate individual that's managing the financial, is the financial guardian of the kids. Is that what I like to call it? So I always recommend to my clients, if there's a way to do it, to separate out those responsibilities. Have somebody be the emotional guardian and have somebody else be the financial guardian for the kids, and they'll work together.
Right. And that kind of makes sense. Of course, they have to work together. That's the thing. Right. So you want to make sure you have people that you can trust and they can work together. And
Absolutely.
Family members or friends.
Family members or friends, or you have a trusted advisor. But a lot of times the family will take care of it, because remember, they're going to do what's in the best interest of the children. But they also can get whatever advice they need from a financial advisor or an accountant or whoever it is that they need to get advice from, just like I would,
right,
if I were still here.
Okay. And as far as that trust, like you said, it can go until what, 18 or 21? Is that the oldest? Or could you designate, say, a trust for a child that they can go and get money from? Can that be later? Can you ask that it be held till later?
For my children, we'll use my kids as an example.
Okay.
And I'm not the nicest dad, apparently, because I've specified that they'll receive the money outright at 30, 40, and 50. So they will be a little bit older, a little more responsible, and so we can stagger the distributions.
Right.
The money's still there for their needs.
Right.
To be managed by the other individual. But for me, I wanted it to be more for their retirement, to get them
a house or
give them something
help with the
important.
kids. And,
right.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you can stagger. It doesn't have to be at 21. It doesn't have to be at 18. and you can do whatever you want to if you plan properly.
Okay, we do have to take a quick news break, and when we come back with Chad, we're going to talk about the absolute documents, right, you should have in place, especially if you have minor kids. And also, and I'm sure you see this a lot, sadly, with the divorce rate, what it is, blended families.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to the details here.
Yeah, that's coming up on The Extra on KRDO News Radio. Welcome back to The Extra on KRDO News Radio. Today we're talking with Chad Spencer from Hammond Law Group. Chad, great to see you. Thanks for coming in today. And we're kind of talking about getting ready and being prepared, especially if you are the parent of young children. And as we're heading into the holiday season, like we were talking about earlier, it's actually a good time to do it. Because family is generally together. You guys could have a little powwow family, like, here, let's have some dinner and discuss, right?
Absolutely. And just before dinner, go take a trip to your lawyer's office.
Yep.
Go to the attorney's office, get things signed and set up, and then go have a celebration at home.
Yeah, I like that idea. It works.
We're fun.
Don't be afraid of it. Hey, you guys are. I would party with you guys.
We have a blast.
Yes. So let's and we have gone over a lot. We've covered a lot. And by the way, if you've missed anything, and that's the one thing with when we talked with Hammond Law Group, is we cover a lot. So if you ever want to hear more, you can go to KRDO.com, look under the radio tab, and go to podcast. You can get the podcast there. Or you guys also have the podcast on your website.
Absolutely. You can go to ColoradoEstatePlan.com. And look under all the information, and there should be a podcast here coming up later this morning.
Perfect. Love it. Okay, so let's talk about, we've talked about what you really need to focus on, especially if you're a parent of young children. Temporary guardian, I'm just kind of doing a review. So if I miss anything, Chad, tell me.
I will not judge you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Temporary guardianship, permanent guardianship if something permanently happens. We talked about trust fund and setting up money to make sure that it goes to the right people and is managed correctly. What else did we touch on? Did I miss something? I did.
We talked a little bit about HIPAA release, and so that the healthcare information can be accessed, whether it's for a minor child or a child who no longer is a minor.
Right. Yes, we touched on that too. Okay, so let's talk about, now, Chad, let's kind of give them a basic overview of parents with minor children, what they should absolutely have in place.
Absolutely. So for foundational pieces, we want to definitely have a will that outlines guardianship, and then within that will, if there's young children, we want to have trusts that are set up through the court process. If you want to avoid the court process, then even a young family can set up a revocable living trust.
Now describe what a revocable living trust is.
A revocable living trust is a legal document that you put together that basically holds all of your assets. As a minor child, if you have minor children, you can name the trust as the beneficiary of the life insurance policy instead of the children, and then the trust itself will outline how things should go for them and what the money can be used for, when they should receive it, all kinds of different things within the trust to set things up so that it's taken care of as if you were still there. So the trust or the will would be the foundation of the estate plan.
And again, sorry, really quick, Dr., but again, covers guardianship, temporary and permanent, right, in the will.
The will is going to cover permanent guardianship.
Okay.
The trust can cover how the assets are used for the children, and then you've got the temporary guardianship. Like I said, are separate documents that says these are the individuals that can take care of my kids in an emergency situation. The permanent guardianship can go through the will or through another legal document that says these are the individuals that are going to care for my children for the remainder of their lives. And then for each other as parents, we want to have a financial power of attorney that says this is going to take care of my financial affairs if I can't do it. And again, medical directives for each other, a healthcare power of attorney, an advance directive or living will that says this is what I want to have happen at the end of my life if I'm in a situation where decisions need to be made and I can't make that decision. So those are very important as well for parents to have, just so that the courts aren't involved, because anytime the courts are involved, it can get sticky and long and expensive. So we're looking at financial power of attorneys, medical power of attorneys, universal HIPAA reliefs, again, for the parents, and then a will or a trust that outlines what happens with the kids.
Okay. And I see here you have noted a guardianship journal. What is a guardianship journal?
Sure. So less of a legal document, but something that's just as important, because we know the idiosyncrasies of our children, what they like to eat, what their favorite bedtime story is, and that evolves over time. And so nobody else, how does somebody step in and care for our kids without an owner's manual?
Right.
So we can put in that journal, like I said, what are their favorite foods? What do they like to do? Is their favorite bedtime story Goodnight Moon, or is it something else as they get older. So what's going to make it as easy as possible? And the whole point of this is to make things as easy as possible for people at a very difficult time in their life. And so if that is taking care of our children, how can we set them up for success? And so the guardianship journal is just a separate document that is an owner's manual for our kids.
Or do they like that shark song? What is? I know you know the shark song. What is the shark song?
I don't know the shark song.
Oh my gosh.
You sing it.
I don't know the shark song. But once I hear it, I'm like, dude, everybody knows the shark song. Okay, so those are great starting grounds. Now let's move to talking about if you have a blended family. And, let's be honest, a lot of families are blended families now, aren't they?
They are, unfortunately, or even it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
Right.
They get these families together, and we see that quite often, especially with military families. We see a lot of blended families there for some reason. But let's say you have, for me again, let's use me as an example again.
Okay.
My wife is much younger and prettier than I am. And so when I pass away, she's going to get snatched up. So what happens when people get married? They put their assets in joint accounts. They add each other as joint tenants on the property. And so if something happens to me and my wife gets remarried and we don't have the proper planning in place and then she gets remarried, what's going to happen to my estate? Most of the time it's going to go to her new spouse. And if something happens to him, what's going to go to my children? A lot of times it's not going to be anything. So people will unintentionally very often disinherit their own families by not planning properly because they have a blended family.
That's interesting. I bet most people, like you said, don't even know that.
Yeah.
So you could accidentally be like, okay, my kids will end up, but they don't end up getting anything.
They don't end up getting anything because if something happens to that new spouse, my wife's new spouse, then those assets are going to go to his kids, not to my kids, through his will or through just the general testamentary laws through the court system. And so we can avoid that by setting up the proper planning.
So what is different then if you're planning like that? So I'm sure there would need to be things, especially with a blended family, because instead of a more traditional thing, right?
Right.
For blended families, is it not more traditional planning?
It is traditional planning, but we need to be a little more specific because by definition, most legal documents, my descendants are my children by blood or adoption. And a lot of times when families get together and there's a blended family, you don't adopt the other spouse's children because there might be another parent already involved. So we don't see where my wife's not going to adopt her new husband's children.
Okay.
They're just going to be stepchildren, and stepchildren are not under the definition of descendants.
Okay.
And so they can be disinherited, especially if something happens to her first, because now everything goes to the new spouse and to the new family, and then my family is not considered. Not considered.
Okay. Okay, wait. We do have to chat. I know we have a lot more to talk about, and we have to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will talk about property ownership, distributions, and rights at your death. And also, we're going to talk about workshops. You guys have lots of workshops that you do. So we'll talk about some workshops coming up soon. That's next on The Extra on KRDO News Radio.
Baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark doo
See,
doo doo.
Chad, there it is.
Baby shark doo,
The Baby Shark Dance song. Your wife so kindly messaged us when we were in the break.
I'm so glad you shared that with me.
Now you know. Thank you to your wife for sending that. You guys don't do the Baby Shark Dance at home?
I'm sure we will be tonight.
I think you will be doing it tonight. Welcome back to The Extra on KRDO News Radio, talking with Chad Spencer from Hammond Law Group. And we're talking about being prepared, especially when you have young kids, especially knowing how to do the Baby Shark dance song, whichever. Go do the dance. And let's move quickly, because we only have a few minutes left, Chad, to property ownership. And I know this can also get complicated.
Right. For property ownership, most people, when they own a home in Colorado, they hold the house as joint tenants with right of survivorship if they're in a situation as a married couple. So what that means is when the first of the joint tenants or the owners passes away, then the house just automatically, without going through the court system, goes to the next owner.
Right.
For people with young children, if something happens to the two of them, where's the house going to go? Who's going to own the house after they're both gone? And it's going to have to go through the court system to their next legal heirs, and the next legal heirs are going to be their children. If their children are minors, then what do we do?
Yeah, or should it be sold? I mean, I'm sure all these are questions. Yeah,
absolutely. There are a lot of questions that people come across, and so if we can answer those ahead of time, that says, this is the person, the permanent guardian. They're going to move into the house with the children. If they're depending on their age, are the kids going to move to another state to live with their permanent guardians? Especially if they're in high school, that may not be the best situation. So with ownership, if we leave it up to the joint tenancy laws and through probate and the court system, then that may not be the ideal situation. So if it can be held in ownership by a trust, then it gives us some time and gives us some flexibility to do whatever we need to do that's in the best interest of the children.
Best interest, absolutely. Yep. Okay, let's talk really quick. A legacy. What is a legacy?
What is a legacy?
What is a legacy?
A legacy could be a big mess. What it is basically, what do you leave behind for the people that you leave behind? Is it going to be a big mess? Is it going to be a clear, spelled out situation where they know exactly what you would have wanted them to do? Is it, people deal with grief in different ways, yes. Whether it's through sadness or anger, or they close off. So how can we make things as easy as possible for people at the most difficult times in their lives? And we do that by planning for and solving problems before they happen. So is the legacy a very clear-cut, outlined plan, or is it a big mess that people are going to remember, and now they're going to go get their estate plan because of the mess that you left behind?
Right. And don't be the one that, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Don't be the
don't be the mess leaver behind her.
Right. Right.
Because it's not fun cleaning up the mess. Just saying, for personal experience. Okay. Now, you guys do a lot of free public workshops, and you have some coming up actually soon.
We do. We like to educate people. We like people to be on the same page when they come in and meet with the attorneys. And so we have workshops coming up actually tomorrow.
Okay.
We have two. We have at 2 o'clock and 6:30, and we have one coming up on Saturday, the 13th.
Okay.
And then we have one coming up again on the 23rd. So if you go to coloradoestateplan.com under the workshops tab, then all of the upcoming workshops are listed. And then there's also opportunities for clients or other individuals to set up a private workshop. We will talk to any group that wants to hear about estate planning.
That's fantastic.
And so if people want to put together a private seminar for their friends and family or their coworkers.
It might be a great thing for a company to do too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or just an organization. I just met with some the Silver Foxes last week, and they wanted to have us come and talk about estate planning. They are a group of RVers.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're hitting the road.
Yeah.
And these workshops can fill up quickly, can't they, the space?
They do. They fill up pretty quickly. We used to have space for around 50 to 75 people.
Okay.
And they do fill up pretty quickly. And so I think we have a couple spaces left for tomorrow. And those are at our office.
Okay.
Over by Garden of the Gods off of Fillmore and just past Centennial. And so we have an educational center dedicated to Catherine's mom on our first floor. And that's where those workshops will be held tomorrow.
And again, you can go get registered because you do need to go register ahead. It's not just a show up kind of a thing.
Right. You can register, like I said, on our website, coloradoestateplan.com, or give us a call, and there'll be some individuals that can get you signed up as well if you want to call 719-520-1474.
And before we wrap up today, Chad, just kind of some positive thoughts to leave with folks and getting estate. Because again, like we talked about when we first started, sometimes it can be overwhelming. And it's like, it's hard to think permanently, right? Like one day I will not be here. But it's actually the best thing you can do is to think about that in your family.
Right. And estate plan is the one insurance that's going to have a 100% payoff. It's going to actually come into effect. And so we feel like it starts with communication. And so when people are together for the holidays, this could be the gift that people give that really matters.
Right.
That really prepares them for the inevitable.
Right.
And so how can we, talk to your family, talk to an attorney, get it in place, and then you'll have the peace of mind that your family will be cared for. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Chad, so much for coming in. Give the website and the phone number again. Really quick, because I'm going to get hiccups, so I'll let you do that.
Sure. It's coloradoestateplan.com, all one word. 719-520-1474 is the phone number. And like I said, we have workshops coming up on tomorrow, Saturday, and on the 23rd of this month. Perfect. Chad Spencer from Hammond Law Group. Thank you so much. Great seeing you again. Now go do the baby shark dance. I'm going to go practice. Coming up tomorrow thank you, Chad. Coming up tomorrow on The Extra, celebrating their 50th anniversary. Pikes Peak Community College will be here. That's tomorrow on The Extra on KRDO News Radio.